people ask me, how did you get started in photography, or why did you get started in photography? And I think it goes all the way back to my childhood. I liked playing with lights. That was what my interest was. While everybody else was out playing football, I had my dad's flashlights taken apart on the workbench, and I think I was the only kid who had a Monopoly board with street lamps around all the streets on the board. And I was always playing with lights, always tinkering around with lights. And as I got older and grew up, I found myself still interested in lighting, and I found that photography was a way to capture that lighting, if you will. And I got involved with cable access years ago. And in cable access, they taught studio lighting and stage lighting, and I was all interested. You got to learn the basics. And it wasn't too long after that I'd found myself getting interested in grip and lighting equipment for motion picture. And I'd hang around the grip studios and the grip houses in town. And pretty soon I found myself buying this and buying that, one flag, another light. And which was really interesting, I started a company called Cinestar, and we provided grip and lighting for motion picture. And we would go around, and I'd supply the lights, the camera dollies, and track and flags and so on and so forth, and light commercials and small movies and things like that. Really got my feet wet. The interesting thing is I got to work with some of the very well-known professionals in the industry, and I learned a lot. I learned an awful lot. I found myself also working with a company called April Films. We did a lot of food commercials, and it was pizzas and tacos for the most part, but we're in these large studios, and I really learned how to light food, and it was so interesting. And what happened is I found myself actually moving into becoming a gaffer. Now, a gaffer is the guy who works with the director of photography or the cinematographer in designing the lighting for a particular scene. Whether you're lighting food or you're lighting city blocks, the techniques basically are the same, the application's the same. And it wasn't too long, I found myself actually working in motion pictures as a gaffer. There is no college that could provide the education you can find working in motion picture, and especially in my position as being a gaffer. I did have a problem though, and the problem was the long hours, and it was wearing thin on me. And that was the time when I thought, you know, I can apply this to still photography. When I moved from motion picture to still photography, it seemed like a natural transition, and in fact it was. The daunting part of it was I no longer had a crew. I didn't have the key grip. I didn't have the grips. I didn't have the director of photography. I didn't even have the director. I became all those positions and having to wear all those hats. And not having that to rely on anymore was the daunting part. The interesting part, though, was it opened a new door, and that new door was I was able to rely on my own creativity. And that was interesting, because all the years of experience that I had in motion picture, I was able to transfer that over to still photography. And directly, it was the lighting. I was able to apply motion picture style lighting to still photography. Still photography usually is associated with strobe lighting, the nano flash, boom, there it is. You have the light on, the light's off. And to me, again, you talk about daunting, that was daunting for me. I was not used to that. But I was able to take what I learned from motion picture and now apply it to still photography. That in itself changed the whole world for me. Now, lighting motion picture style for still photography is real simple. In motion picture, the lights are always on. They have constant hot lights that are applied to a subject or to a scene. I was able to take that same technique, that same science, and apply it to still photography. This not only opened up a new world for me, but I'm finding it's opening up a big world for other people also. We use now the same equipment that we use in motion picture. The C-stands, the same kind of lighting, flags and scrims are applied to still photography now, as opposed to a little tiny strobe stand and a little softbox off to the side, you know. And it has also changed the whole world in which we paint people. You know what makes for really good photography? It's creative enthusiasm. I feel as though that, in fact, I can't tell you when I've ever been on the set where I wasn't excited to be there. Whether it was motion picture or still photography. I do a lot of advertising, fashion, glamour, or even wedding photography, and I always bring that creative enthusiasm with me. Another thing is creating that relationship with the person you're shooting. I think is so very, very important. It establishes the trust, it makes for the fun, and it certainly makes for really, really good images. Since my move to still photography, I would have to say I've been really super blessed. With the advent of photography now online via the internet, with stock photography, art sites, I have now found myself shooting for a couple of magazines here in the Northwest on a regular basis. I have a book due out in early 2008. I have a love for lighting. I have a love for photography and the application for both them together. You know, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. I think a picture should be worth 10,000 words. And I try to strive for that. I really do. I love what I do.